I was going to talk about some things that it's like a pep talk. Is what it is. It's some things that I've learned in the 67 years that I've been on this earth. So if you find that boring, do what you normally do: swipe left and go somewhere else. Or that's swipe right. So I wrote down a whole bunch of things here. There's a whole list of things here that I just written down over the last year while I was just thinking about things. So right. So we'll see how far we get with this. Golden rule. Live by the golden rule, and the things that you do business-wise, and that is, what you should be doing is you should be treating other people the way that you want to be treated. I think it's true of everything. You don't have to have a lot of other rules in terms of your business acumen if you, and generally the way that you treat other people the way you want to be treated in business or otherwise. Be kind and responsive. You know, it's sometimes it's difficult when you've got adversity going on, there's problems, but if you have problems with a customer, this is the time that taking care of business is probably going to be that in the long run is the best thing for both parties. And remember that those situations is a negotiation time. You know, if things have gone wrong for whatever reason, nobody's coming out of this completely whole. It's a question of nobody winning and the other person losing. Try to find some kind of compromise that works for both parties.
Happy medium.
Happy medium. Don't follow the herd. Sometimes following the herd is fine, but remember, if you want to do things different than extraordinary, the herd's not doing that. So it doesn't mean that you shouldn't go and do tried and true practices, but at the same time, you've got to go out there and try some different stuff. And remember that failures are absolutely fine. You know, if I look at all the things that we've done over the years, there's
learn from them.
Absolutely been a series of failures. I look at things like our Shipmate product. Shipmate products took me 3-4 years to get it to the point where it is now, and that was all done 7, 8, 10 years ago. It took a lot of trying and things that didn't work, and then building on those ideas to find out what the next idea was to fix the problem you just ran into. You don't get there the first time. You don't give up. At the same time, now if you watch things like Shark Tank, you'll see Mr. Wonderful saying you need to take that behind the barn and shoot it. There are things that you, at some point, that you have to decide, I've spent enough time on this, I'm not getting where I want to. But remember, it is going to take time and effort, and be prepared to have failures, because they are absolutely going to happen. If somebody says they get it right the first time, then they probably haven't tried very many things. Build on your successes. So, you know, build on your successes and build on your customers. The best person to sell a product to is somebody who's already bought something from you in the past. So those people have a relationship with you, and those are people that you should try out your new ideas on, because they've already kind of had a taste of what you've got and hopefully liked it. Keep good company, especially with the kids. You know, watch out what your kids are doing, watch out what you're doing. You know, you are the company that you keep. So, you know, if you're around negative people all the time, you'll likely end up being a bit of a negative attitude towards people, towards things. So keep good company. Know your numbers. If you've got a business, or if you're running a household, know where your money's going, know where your profits are. It doesn't just mean doing this. It really needs to have some kind of decent accounting system. It doesn't mean you have to necessarily hire an accountant for this, but know what your expenses are, know what your costs are. I can tell you that, well, I'm going to talk, the next thing I'm going to say is the 80-20 rule. This is something that I really do live by, that you don't have to get everything perfect. To get things perfect takes a huge amount of time. Obviously some things have to be perfect, but the majority of things don't have to be perfect. And it's the 80-20 rule. You get, you know, to get that last 20% takes a huge amount of time. But also in your business, you'll find that you've got 20% of the things that you do generate a lot of fun, a lot of interest, a lot of profitability, and 80% of the things are marginal, and some of them are actually totally should be got rid of. So remember, get your numbers right, and then those things that aren't working right, take them behind the barn and quietly shoot them.
James, somebody's literally going to take you seriously.
No, everyone knows what I mean. Work smart. Work smart. This goes back to the 80-20 rule. You know, don't spend too much time spinning around doing things that aren't working out. Just work smart and work efficiently. You know, I think about, I'll tell you a story about Chanel when she was a little girl. She was helping us do some gardening, and she was moving stuff, some flower pots from one area to another, and she's doing it one at a time. And it's like, you know, you've got to point out to her that there's a more efficient way of doing this. You get a wheelbarrow, and you load up 10 plants in the wheelbarrow, and you take them over there. And then she started doing that. She could see the benefit right away. And then it's like, well, now you're coming back with an empty wheelbarrow. Maybe you should be bringing something back. Maybe there's some rubbish over there that you should be taking the wheelbarrow full of stuff there, and then you should be loading up with stuff that goes to the trash to come back. So work smart. Have goals. Decide what your ambitions and you want to do, and write those things down, and set yourself goals to achieve those things, so that you know that you've got kind of some kind of a check mark that you're working towards. If you don't have goals, then typically you have to have visions, you have to have goals. If you don't have those, then you don't get traction. Competition's a good thing. So we typically don't like competition, but what competition does is it makes you hone your ideas and your products. So look at what your competitors are doing and learn from what they're doing. Learn how to be better than your competitors. Doesn't mean that you need to bash your competitors. We don't ever bash our competitors. We don't bash people on their other dogs. We don't bash people on their other products. But we want our products to be better, and not because we want to lord it over them. It's because that's what keeps us going, keeps us in business.
Well, it's such a big world. You don't need to be bashing people. I mean,
Right, it's the golden rule, isn't it? It goes back to the golden rule. Right, exactly. The customer is not always right. So, we have this thing that says the customer's always right. Doesn't mean you've got to be rude to your customer. Sometimes your customer needs to go to your competitor. Be aware of that so that you can gently push them in that direction. So just remember that the customer's not always right. Majority of the time, the customer needs to be in a situation where they feel though they're being treated properly. But sometimes, some customers don't need to be your customers. They need to be your competitors' customers. Face problems. If you've got a problem, don't put it off. Take care of it. It's very easy to procrastinate. Look at both sides of a situation. If you're one-sided on everything, you miss half the argument. So there's always a different contrary position. So I used to, for instance, watch Fox News a lot. And Chanel one day said to me, you just watch Fox News all the time. Fox News has always got just this, one-sided attitude about things. She was exactly right. So now these days I watch a number of different news channels, and some of them I don't particularly like, but at the same time, they gives you a different point of view, because there's always two sides to every story. And if you're only seeing one side, you're missing probably half the content. This one here goes back to the watch your expenses. This goes back to knowing what your numbers are. Watch your expenses. Expenses can kill you. Absolutely can kill you. Little bitty expenses that are all over the place can absolutely kill you. So most businesses work on very small profit margins, and expenses are things that you absolutely can't control. So watch your expenses. Give praise. Give praise to people who've done a good job. That I see a lot, especially in the business world. When I was working in the oil field and as an engineer, I saw lots of times when people were not giving praise and giving the praise themselves. Not a good thing. Give praise where it's due. Give good guidance.
well,
Help people. Yep.
People that you've done business with helped you get to where you are.
Absolutely. You betcha. Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah, and give good guidance.
Right.
That's, by the way, what all these talks are about, is we try to give good guidance. It's not a religious thing for us. It's more of it's the right thing to do. It's back to the golden rule. Give good guidance. Good guidance makes people's lives easier. If you think it's easy, it's not. You don't know. If you think it's easy, you don't know everything about it. I promise you. If you think it's got to wait here for something to get by. If you think it's easy, don't have the whole story. There's always little unexpected things that make things. And when you think that for me, when I'm thinking about a project, I always double the time of what I think it's going to take. So it's going to take 5 hours. It's probably going to take 10.
Yeah, if you think it's easy and the money's going to come rolling in, guess what?
Yep.
It'll bite you.
Test the waters. If you've got a new product, don't just plow into this thing and just go hell for leather developing the product and then go into the marketplace. Test the product out by using it on friends and family and previous customers, just so they can try the thing out, so they can point out to you the things that it's very easy to get blinded by your product, where you think your products are the best thing in the world, and maybe it is. But somebody who's not blinded by the product, someone who's not in love with the product yet, will point out the flaws to you. And that comes back to this other one at the top here that says, criticisms. Criticisms are useful things. Some people criticize in totally the wrong way, and it's hard to take those things sometimes. But generally, criticism is a positive thing for you. It gives you an opportunity to find out what you can do to change the way you're doing something, to make your life easier, your customer's life easier, your product better.
Yeah, yeah.
Youth is an asset. So when you get to my age, the problem gets to be is one tends to get a little bit stayed in the ways, and you don't like change. Youth is an asset because you have not fallen into that rut yet. That's the first thing. And the second thing is you have your whole life in front of you. So those of you who are youngsters, who are 18, 19, 20, 25 years old, obviously you don't have the experience that somebody, your parents have, but you've got tons and tons of time to learn about things and get things right. Youth is an absolute asset. Diversity. Be diversified. If you see this thing, I watch Shark Tank quite a bit, it's kind of an interesting program, and you see this a lot where somebody's got a single product, and then they'll complain they'll say, well, you've just got a product, you don't have a company. Diversity, diversify. It gives you, the thing about being a one-trick pony is one-trick ponies, all of a sudden, they don't have a show anymore because they've only got one trick. Don't be a one-trick pony. You've got to start somewhere. You have to have a trick to start with, don't get me wrong here. But don't just sit there developing that single trick. Expand on other things that fit into that genre, and maybe develop a whole completely different line as well, because things change. I mean, for instance, I think about things like YouTube, for instance. YouTube's pretty useful for us. It's a useful channel to get information across, and it's a useful channel for us to find us. But you know what? Tomorrow, Mark Zuckerberg might decide that we can't be on his YouTube channel anymore. So don't be a one-trick pony. Don't bet the farm. Don't bet the farm. Be careful. I see too many people. There's two things that I see people do that are big mistakes. They have a success, and they then go out and start buying all kinds of things that are totally not what you need. It's buy those things with what we call discretionary income. If you're going to go buy yourself a ski boat, don't go buy yourself a ski boat with a 10-year note. That's just craziness. Go buy a ski boat with money that you've got laying around. Don't go get a loan on a ski boat. Those things are things that you don't have to have. So be careful about what you're buying. Enjoy life. Don't get me wrong here. We have lots of things that we have that we don't have to have, and they're all part of enjoying life. But don't invest too much of money. Always have what I call an emergency fund. If you've got credit card debt, get rid of the credit card debt. That's the first thing you got to do. I'm talking about finance now. Get rid of the credit card debt, and then build an emergency fund. Have yourself 5 or 10,000 or 2 months worth of salary, whatever it is, so that when the unexpected happens, you don't have to go put it on the damn credit card and get 18% or 22% a year. God, I was really rambling here.
Yeah.
Am I rambling, Tammy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I should park this by
There you
the
go.
tractor.
Hope that was, just old ideas. They're not new ideas. They're new ideas that anybody who's been doing this for a length of time has probably come to those conclusions. Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate people who subscribe to me. It helps me, encourage me to do more of these videos. But do remember, disclaimer here, I am not a vet. I'm not a licensed medical professional. I'm purely a person who's been breeding dogs for the last couple of decades. Any information that you got from this video, use at your own risk. There's nothing implied here, and certainly this should not be used as a substitute for advice from your veterinarian or your medical professional. I hope you enjoyed the video. Come back for more of them. Bye.